I've always wanted a game, just like Fallout New Vegas, that wasn't buggier than a dead hyena's rotting ass with a side of shit sauce and poopy pudding. Well, Obsidian just released a new game, free of Bethesda's forcing them to rush it. A game that they did all on their own, published by Private Division. That is none other than The Outer Worlds, a game that has been described by many as a New Vegas in space. The first question you guys have about this game probably isn't how good is it, as much as it would be how buggy is it. At least compared to the other Fallout games, well, I'm proud to tell you that this is perhaps the least buggy Fallout clone I've ever played at launch. As a matter of fact, let my associate, Doppelganger Tard, show you all the very few times the game pulled a technofart on me, just to get all the negative things about this masterpiece out of the way first.
Hey guys, it's Doppelganger Tard. Very happy to be here again. Well, like most Western RPGs, this game is awesome, but also not perfect. For instance, the load times can be uncomfortably long. There was one time where an enemy wasn't shooting, he was just standing around with his back turned like he was taking a pee next to some gasoline. Which is never a good idea, trust me. I have the scars to prove it. And then, this guy who just floated over the edge of a cliff after he died, and then there were these two alien animals stuck in the ground, like they were two dolphins swimming in sand. There was also a couple of times when your friendly AIs don't know how to follow you by jumping, so sometimes they just fell to their death and respawned near you. The most problematic bug in this game, though, is that because interaction shares the same button as drawing your gun, you draw your gun every time you open or close a door, or use an elevator, or even talk to somebody. Freeze! Hands in the air! This should be an easy fix, though. All I would need to do is patch it so that you need to hold to draw your gun, just like how you need to hold to lower it instead of reloading. Ain't I just the smartest gamer alive? Okay guys, I think that covers all the technical cons with the game. My mentor Darian will take everything from here. Bye! Thanks for having me again!
Ain't he just a good sport? I always have him for things like this. He lives in my attic. I feed him like twice a week. Anyway, now for the good juicy parts about this.
Oh boy, is it feeding time already?
No. I'm just talking about the game here. Anyway, let me tell you what the game is about, and then we'll take everything one at a time from there. The Outer Worlds is a story that takes place in the far future, in a galaxy far, far away. Okay, maybe not. I don't know my galaxies, but Halcyon is a solar system that's governed by a really corrupt slave organization called the Board. You spend 70 years frozen in cryonics until you are rescued by an outlawed scientist, Phineas Wells. Now it's up to you to either help Wells dismantle the Board and liberate the solar system, or go against the man who saved you and turn him into the authorities. It goes without saying that the writing in this game is phenomenal, and the amount of choices you are given are plentiful throughout that it gives you a good reason to really want to replay the whole thing again after you beat it for the first time. Now, the first few hours of the game can be a bit of a drag because it involves you trying to get an abandoned ship up and running so you can explore and form your own crew. But once it opens up to you by giving you the ship that really introduces to you how the game is set up, you're more likely to fall in love with it then. One of the most standout things about this game is that even though the story is very dark, it's also very funny, like a black comedy. It never takes itself seriously.
Good afternoon. I'm Chairman Rockwell, and I'm here to address a serious issue facing us. As you all know, our colony has been successful beyond our wildest dreams. Unfortunately, we've recently discovered that our food supply will not be able to sustain Halcyon's population in the long term. Everyone will die. Everyone will slowly stop living from malnutrition. But we're doing it together, And that's what matters. I fucking swear, if someone doesn't give me something to read that will placate the masses soon, all of you will find yourselves violently unemployed. But I can assure you there's nothing to fear. We've got a solution. It's called the Lifetime Employment Program. We will freeze most of the colony to preserve resources, while the best and brightest of Byzantium continue living in prosperity. Look, you idiots! How many times do I have to tell you we can't say shit like that? Fire whoever wrote this! While Halcyon's brightest minds solve the problem of our nutritional shortage, the rest of the colony will be placed in suspended animation. Individuals will be revived on a rotating basis, so that every Halcyon can be part of the important work of saving our colony. By testing paperweights. Sorry, couldn't resist. Let's go again. And someday, in the not-too-distant future when we've solved this crisis, we'll all be back together again working for the good of Halcyon. Until then, the board shall provide for the deserving just as it always has. So, obey your supervisors, take your vitamins, follow your corporate-mandated grooming rituals, and rest assured with the board on your side, there is nothing to worry about.
I mean, the name of your ship is called the Unreliable. I was sold from then on out. As a matter of fact, one of the funniest parts about this game is when you first board the ship and the smartass ship AI mistakes you for a marauder. It is absolutely hilarious.
Please be informed that this vessel contains no valuable plunder. Marauder, please be informed that ignoring me is dangerous for your health. Smile for my surveillance device, Marauder. I am tracking your every move. All doors are on security lockdown. Nice try, Marauder. Marauder, please be informed the ship has no crew for you to murder.
As far as I'm concerned, this game actually feels more like a Mass Effect game the more you play. You fly between a few planets and space stations that you can explore with up to 2 other recruitable companions at a time, or you can even explore by yourself, although I never felt like I really wanted to, because in my opinion, all 6 of these companions, including the ship's maintenance robot, are all very useful and they all have their own very interesting, unique abilities to use in battle. They also have their own companion loyalty side missions, I should say, very similar to the loyalty missions in Mass Effect 2. My favorite person in this whole game is Parvati, this really friendly but shy engineer girl who has a little trouble talking to, other girls that she has a crush on, or has trouble talking to people that she has always wanted to meet for a long time. And then there's also this one guy, Vicar Max, who is kind of like a religious Scientologist of sorts, who is kind of on a quest to find the meaning of his life and controlling his fate, which may actually be perhaps the most thought-provoking, most intelligently written quest in the whole game.
I woke up. The illusions I built for myself just fell away. I'm no longer interpreting, I'm experiencing. Everything is perfect. In a way. Perhaps it's more accurate to say I was asking the wrong questions. I understand so much more now. I see it all. All there is to be experienced, to be lived. Of course there is pain and loss, but the suffering is caused by trying to control reality, clinging to the way you want things to be, not enjoying the way they are. I am content. I've finally found what I was looking for, even though I was looking for the wrong thing.
All 5 of these companion quest lines, excluding the robot as it doesn't have one, are among the best side missions in this whole game, as it should be. It really does a tremendous job giving you insight into who your followers really are. There are, of course, regular side missions given to you by, random NPCs out there in the world, and for the most part, those are good too. I say for the most part because fuck this one where you gotta find certain faction suits to model for this crazy artist dress shop lady. Talk about a goddamn vague fetch quest, but fortunately this is only one out of the dozens available that I hated to do. And there are also faction-related quests that you can do to increase that faction's reputation, but also sometimes at the cost of reducing an opposing faction, just like how it was in Fallout New Vegas. Now that we got the game structure out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay at hand. Starting with the gunplay, it does feel a little dated, but it's still very fun. As I said, your companions will make you always want to bring company as they have their own abilities to inflict, but you also have a unique ability of your own called Tactical Time Dilation, where you can slow down time to make it easier to shoot their weak spots. It's basically this game's VATS, which at first I didn't prefer, but eventually it did grow on me the more I got used to it. The game has some of the best and most appropriate level up perks I've ever seen for both you and your squad, including longer duration of, tactical time dilation, and each squad mate having their own 3 unique perks that make having them in your party extremely helpful. Hell, there's even one that lets you fast travel even while carrying too much weight in your inventory. That's amazing. That's definitely a first. There are also workbenches you can use to improve you and your companions' weapons and armor. You can also add mods to give them a different effect, like plasma and shock rounds. Mods for your armor too. For things you don't use anymore, you can either break them down into weapon or armor parts that are then used to repair the things that you do use, or you can also just sell them to merchants or vending machines as long as you have the required hack level to do so. Very much like New Vegas, this game offers alternative ways to deal with people during quests, such as intimidation, persuasion, and even deceit. There are also alternative dialogue skill trees that are allocated to your other technical skills and attributes, such as intelligence, engineering, medicine, and so on. These will very much want you to prioritize leveling up these skills in preference over combat related skills, very much like New Vegas succeeded at doing.
It's delicious.
The stealth mechanic is possibly the best I've ever seen in a Fallout clone, even though that's not really saying much. In this game, enemies don't just sense you and sniff you out just because your sneak level isn't high enough. If they can't see or hear you, they will not spot you in this game. There's also holographic disguises you can use to get through restricted areas with ease, but very briefly, if you get spotted while your hologram's energy is drained out, you will have to pass a speech check to avoid conflict, maintain reputation, and to refill your disguise's energy bar. This is genius, a brilliantly well thought out mechanic that I never would have thought of. It took some time for me to figure this all out, but I'm glad that I did. Other miscellaneous things to mention is your standard looting. You can steal other people's shit, and your reputation with them only decreases if you get caught in the act. There is no karma system in this game. It's just a reputation system, which is nice because then you don't get penalized in general just for being a bad person if that's your intended route. Hacking computer terminals and picking locks on doors just requires you to have the right level of skill and the required number of components. There are no little lockpicking or hacking mini-games to go along with it. Just hold down a button and that's it. Which did disappoint me a little until I found out just how irrelevant those mini-games kind of were for me. But I could definitely see why this would upset some players who really loved hacking and lockpicking in those Fallout games. The facial creator in this game is oddly enough my favorite. I feel like I made the best interpretation of me in any game here. A little disappointed that you pretty much never see your character's face outside of the inventory screen. Even still, I was proud making the best version of myself. I'm such a role-playing nerd. So I think that pretty much covers my whole experience with the game. Now it's time for my final score, which can't be anything else than what it truly is, which is a 9 out of 10. I loved this game. It's not perfect. It could use some patching in a few spots, which is fine. It's expected, actually. I was skeptical of its quality at first, but was so pleased when I noticed that literally none of its bugs were game-breaking nor quest-breaking. The very first thing I wanted to do when I saw the credits roll was starting a new game and playing through it again, doing different choices. Actually, I want to try the Supernova mode, which is basically the game's hardcore mode from New Vegas, where you have to eat, drink, and sleep, and also your companions would die permanently and your fast travel being limited to just your ship. I'm so glad that they kept that in. I'm glad they didn't forget about it. I feel like Fallout 4 would have been a lot more interesting if that was in there. I want to play through this game all over again already. Experience this 20 to 30 hour long journey all over again with enough different choices to make it feel like I'm playing through it for the first time again. Hopefully, anyway. That's how great it is. Very few modern games have ever given me that same feeling. The quickest summary I could give you guys is that it is Fallout New Vegas in space without the bugs. It is New Vegas and Mass Effect's comedic love child whose best friend is named Borderlands. If you loved all of those games, you will love The Outer Worlds. I know this review was pretty long, but it was well worth it because, in my opinion, this game deserved that much from me. Thank you so much for watching. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Fuck you, Bethesda. Go eat shit. Obsidian schooled you here.
The Gamer Gods!
I have a salvage job for someone light on corporate ties with a reliable set of wings. But there's a catch.
Just like in the serials,